He's the Nuggets head coach. He's George Karl back on the program. Coach, you watch the Heat last night?
I did not see that game. I saw the second game, but I didn't see the first game. I was kind of out to dinner, enjoying life a little bit, on a little bike ride in the 80-degree weather here in Denver.
Is it tough to watch playoff games when you're not in the playoffs?
There's certain games, like I wanted to watch the Lakers play, and the team that beats you kind of always want to observe how they do and maybe what we could have done better. And I actually probably continue coaching a little bit after the series, but I don't go out of my way to watch them, but I don't want to watch them. If I'm hanging around the house, I'm watching, or I'm in the bar and it's the fourth quarter, I'm watching. Stuff like that. I'm not anti against it, but I'm not excited to go to it. Maybe the finals, I'd probably get a little more excited to watch that. Maybe the conference finals. I really believe it's going to be Oklahoma City and San Antonio, and I think that'll be a great series.
Before I get to the Lakers in Oklahoma City, I've touched on this today, spent probably too much time on it, but the Heat at the end of games, that, who is the guy who has the ball, should have the ball? You got two guys who can have the ball, but it just seems like it just doesn't feel as confident as it should. Am I asking too much of LeBron and Wade here at the end of games?
Well, I'm on the side of those guys that think about winning games at the end of games with defensive plays and draw charges and block shots and loose balls and offensive rebounds. And I think there's about 10 different ways to win a big, close game, as much as being on a sports center and watching a jump shot go in or making a great one-on-one play and dunking over somebody. But I understand what you're saying. I mean, I'm rooting for LeBron. I'm rooting for LeBron to kind of have more confidence or more savvy. He makes good plays at the end of the game. He just doesn't make big shots at the end of the game right now. And, of course, missing free throws doesn't help that.
But how he did this in Cleveland, and I thought that in Cleveland he did it because he had to, almost out of necessity. Is there, as a coach, coaching against LeBron, is there a feel, though, that he's not selfish enough at the end of games? Is that a fair assessment?
I think that's definitely, if I had to do a scouting report, I would say he would rather make the basketball play than force the offensive play to score it. And I think, there's a lot of positives to that, but in big-time games, when it's all on the line, you want the best player, the most talented player in the game of basketball to make a play and win the game. And I can see how the pendulum of dissent is kind of working against LeBron. But I also will stand up and say, LeBron, I would love to have LeBron on my team in the fourth quarter in any game.
I think he's unbelievable. I want to see a championship on his resume. I do. And I look past all of I'm taking my talents to South Beach. It's just, I see great players. It's like a quarterback or it's a baseball player. You just want to see those guys who perform at a different level be able to get that championship. And so I do root for him. And maybe I'm rooting for him in an odd way, but I just want to see the ball in his hands. I want to see greatness.
Do you remember Oscar Robertson, how many years it took him to win a championship?
And he needed Lou Alcindor to do so.
I mean, Karl Malone never got one. John Stockton never got one. There are a lot of guys. Charles Barkley never got one. There are a lot of guys on that list. And what I always am amazed at is how many people think there are these guys there's so many guys that won a championship. The list of people winning championships is probably less than 15% of the players in the NBA.
But you knew coaching against Jordan. Jordan was going to have the ball at some point during the final play.
Yes, you had to make a decision on how to cover Michael Jordan. I think you have to make a decision on how to cover LeBron and Kobe and Dwayne Wade. I think you have a defensive game plan going into those guys. And I still think he gets good shots. I think he gets good opportunities. He's just not, in the last couple of years, he's not made that big shot, even though I thought last year in the Eastern Conference Finals he was pretty effective. But then in the finals he wasn't.
He's George Karl, Nuggets head coach, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. How good are the Lakers?
The Lakers are very talented if they can keep the game at their pace. If they play a power possession game, a low-scoring game with some defensive mindedness into it, they protect the basket very well. But anytime speed and quickness gets into the game, I think it's an advantage to a team like us or maybe even Oklahoma City. I think that Oklahoma City has speed and quickness, but they also have three unbelievable scorers that can score numbers that against good defense, bad defense, zone defense, double team defense, whatever you throw at them, they have the ability to score points.
What would you do if you were Mike Brown with the philosophy going into Game 2 tonight against Oklahoma City?
I think I got to slow down 1.5 of the big three. I mean, I think I'd probably put Kobe and Artest on Westbrook a little bit more, giving him a big time defender every possession he has the ball, and I would maybe try to get a double team identity to the game to try to create some turnovers into the game, and then try to keep the game physical, keep it inside. Especially if Perkins is ineffective or can't play. I think they're big guys that are very, very talented, and the possession game is very much on their side. And he's got, like the games that we lost, they got some play from Sessions and or Blake. And how do you get one of those guys playing at least a good game, a halfway decent game at least? I think it's got to be a part of the game plan too.
But that being said, can they do it?
As I said before, I've since about February or even March, I thought San Antonio and Oklahoma City were the two teams that were a gap. I don't know how big the gap was, but I thought the gap was pretty big between everybody else. I think the third place team in the Western Conference wasn't that much better than the 10th place team in the Western Conference. And there's going to be 3 or 4 teams in that stretch, the Clippers or Memphis or us, who next year are going to make a big step forward. But throughout this year, the Portlands, not Portland, but the Phoenixes and a couple teams that even didn't make the playoffs were very, very good basketball teams at the end of the season. And it kind of depended what time of the year and what part of the season, what the difficulty of the schedule said that what team was going to play well.
It's good to visit with you, as always. And I know only you can have a great off season.
Well, I'm going to go hit that white ball at the Colorado Golf Club today with some friends, and that'll be cool. It'll be the first time to kind of put some fun and relaxation into the body.
What's the handicap now?
It's not very good. It's probably 15, 16, maybe even a little higher right now since I haven't hit a ball since September.
Well, it's good to visit with you again, George. Congrats on the season. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, Dan. Thank you, man. Have a good summer.
All right. That's George Karl, Nuggets head coach. Had some interesting thoughts there. And I didn't have him on because he was going to agree with me about LeBron James, because I didn't know what his opinion was with that. Of course, I like that he agreed with me. Great minds there.